Today I'm going to show you how to build a balloon mock-up in a totally free platform. This is great for someone that's doing this for a hobby or for your personal purposes, not as much for doing a mock-up for a professional balloon setting. This is really just for like a hobbyist to use in a way that's free. So first you want to find, in my case I'm going to do a real wallpaper, a peel and stick wallpaper. So first I'm going to look for one that I like, and then I'm going to screenshot that wallpaper. I actually accidentally recorded a screenshot here instead of a photo, so I had to go back and do it twice. But what you want to do is find something as close to realistic to what you're going to use as possible. So in this case, I'm going to do a backdrop with cherry peel and stick wallpaper. So I found the actual wallpaper I would want to use for a real setup so that it could be realistic. You're trying to envision what you're making here. So I've screenshot the cherry wallpaper so that I have the image of exactly what it would look like in a setup. And I'm going to save that into my documents. If you're not going to use a wallpaper, you'll see where you can put just a plain color or something like that instead. That's where we'll go next. But let's say you are using something like a wallpaper. You're going to take this image, you're going to rotate it. You'll see why in a moment, but we just rotated that right in the documents, right in the photos. And now you're going to go into Google Sheets, which is free as long as you have a Gmail account. You're going to insert and go to drawing. Once you're in Insert Drawing, you're going to go select your photo and insert that photo of your wallpaper into Drawing. You're going to go to Crop Image, go up at the top next to the crop, and you're going to choose this arch one. And you're going to select it and size that thing down, and now you're just looking to rotate it. Once it's sized about where you want it, you're just going to rotate it the way an arch in real life would be. And you can see that's why we rotated our wallpaper, so that it would match the side of our arch. Now in my backdrop I'll use two arches. So I'm going to make another plain shape arch. That's going to be slightly bigger, and I'm just going to drop it right beside there. Again, this is all Google Sheets, which is free with a Gmail account. I'm going to size this arch up. And in real life, what I would do is choose a paint that I'm going to paint my wooden arch with. Or if you have a metal arch frame, you could choose your arch cover in the color that you've chosen. So what you're looking to do here is get a visual of, do I like pink with this wallpaper, or would I rather do a green? So you can play with the colors here and see what color group you like. Next, if you're going to add text, if you're doing a wooden wallpaper, you can do a wooden arch backdrop, you can do a DTF transfer with a heat press. If you are doing a fabric arch, you're going to want to do a vinyl lettering that you would put onto that fabric arch. So next, what you're going to do for the mock-up is start adding circle shapes to act as your balloons. On this one, I'm also going to be looking for what color of balloons I like with my arch. And again, remember, this isn't a professional mock-up for you to show a client of exactly what the setup is going to be. This is for you to use to determine what colors you like, what sizes you want, and to get a good idea so that you're not putting in a bunch of work to create something that at the end you wish you'd have used a different color. So this is really just your way of envisioning this for yourself, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Again, it's not going to be a professional mock-up. So you're just going to create one of the balloons in the color you think you like, Control C to copy it, and then Control V a bunch of times to paste it so you have a bunch of identical circles. And then you're just going to arrange them loosely to get a general idea of what these would look like if they were balloons on your arch. At any point you can change, of course, the colors of these if you want to see what it would look like with a different color. That's the point of this, is let's say you set this up and you don't like this green, you can go back and change these balloons. If you want to see what it looks like with two different balloon colors, this is the time, and it's going to give you a little bit of a formula when you're doing your arch. So in this case, what I'm doing here is just adding in my balloons, and now for this particular setup, I'm going to add what it would look like to make a couple of balloon cherries to go along with this. So I'm going to create a couple of smaller circles, and I'm using the color picker to make sure that my colors look consistent with the wallpaper I chose. In another course, I'll show you how I choose my balloons to best match the colors I chose in a mock-up. I'm going to add lines here to pretend to be the 260 balloons that I'm going to use with these cherries. And I'm going to change the weight of the line. This won't be for every mock-up because obviously in every mock-up you're not going to create balloon cherries, but just to show you, you can get a visual for your extras as well. It doesn't just have to be balloons. If you're adding bows, you can add little bow shapes and see what it'll look like with little bows on it. I'm going to copy these as a group, paste it as a group, and move it as a group so I can visualize what this would look like with cherries, because if I did this mock-up with just the green balloons, I would want to make some changes to it. So I want to see what it looks like with cherries first. And with cherries, it looks pretty cute. I'm going to move forward with it. First I'm going to change and just see if I like this font better in a green. Again, if you're going to be ordering a vinyl transfer or a DTF transfer for this, you're going to want to know what color you want your font in. So it's good to play with it a little bit ahead of time. Now in this case, I've already added numbers here. This is to determine kind of what size arches you're going to want to use for these. Most hobbyists, you probably have just a couple of metal arches in certain sizes that you're going to use, or maybe you have a couple wooden ones and you want to know, should I use my 5 foot, my 6 foot for this particular, or if you're going to make it out of foam, you're going to want to know what size. So what I do here is I use Google Sheets and I turn my cells into squares, and then I label them, each square equaling a half of a foot. I mark 1 through whatever on the top and bottom, and now I can get a visual and see what size this is. And then I can make my foam according to that size.